welcome back to the LEC Playoffs. Rogue got dismantled by Fnatic in Game 1 of this best of 5, and we are here to tell you all about it and to get into Game 2. I'm Medic, this is Frost, that's Vedi. And Frost, you look like you have something to say.
I think just kind of continuing the conversation that Ender, Caedrel, and Sjokz were having on the Analyst desk, that the issue didn't seem to be in the composition that Rogue had put together. This was a fairly stock standard Rogue composition, the thing that took them to first place, but it was execution issues, you know, things snowballing out of control, giving away the 2 early kills, VandeR running in and dying 1v1 in the lane phase, and so I don't expect Rogue to actually change much, although I do hope that they take away the Lucian. Because the thing about Lucian is that it also empowers AP junglers to be played.
That's a great point for us.
Because a huge issue is your damage profile and difference in mid-jungle position. So if you get rid of Lucian, suddenly you can't just play an Evelynn because you have 2 AP there. It makes it super easy to itemize against.
Yep, I would ban Lucian. I think Nemesis is the problem. I think that you've got to stop him dead in his tracks. You can't just allow him to go even with Larssen. Larssen needs to be put in a position of success if we're all going to find a win against a Fnatic that's performing right now. Like in an ideal world, you want Nemesis on the carry and you want Selfmade on like the tank junglers. But we'll see what Rogue decide to do. They're going to keep up with the Ezreal ban. We saw quite a few Ezreal bans yesterday from G2 as well. Clearly, something going on behind the scenes when it comes to this Ezreal pickup. Aphelios and Caitlyn going to continue to be taken off the board. Ooh, Hecarim and Evelynn going to be banned away. Okay, fair enough. Like, I don't agree with this personally. I think that while Evelynn was strong, I think execution errors were ultimately what fell short for Rogue when actually playing into the Evelynn. So we'll see. I think Fnatic just lock in the Lucian again here.
I think what's so interesting about Rogue is that they just know what they're going to play. Everyone knows what they're going to play, and they don't even like try to hide it. Like, what is the purpose of getting the counter pick if we never blind pick GP every single time? Our
top laner can pick the top lane champion, and he will pick the one he has played the most.
He plays Ornn, GP, Renee. I don't know what you want.
I do actually really like that school of discussion, because it's this idea of Fnatic have this wealth of experience in playoffs, in best of 5s, where they have had a lot of opportunities to try out different styles, and Rogue have only really played this singular style for the entirety of the split.
But this is what always costs teams when they get to best of 5s, especially when you come from a best of 1 format. It happens in every region. If you are a very simple team where you have one style and you play it really well, you're too one-dimensional. You walk into a best of 5 and you get blown up. So the question was, would Rogue be able to handle the Evelynn? They decided to panic ban it, as Sjokz said. So what else do Fnatic have? Does their composition fall apart now that they don't have Eve, or do they have another AP jungler available?
At the moment, Fnatic have locked in Rekkles' most played, the Senna alongside a Thresh once again for Hylissang. Kalista is picked up for Hans Summer. We did wonder about this in Game 1, whether it would be a pivotal part of these drafts.
I think that it's definitely a big pickup for Hans Summer. I much prefer when Hans Summer's on the Lucians, the aggressive champions, or the Dravens. I mean, of course, he hasn't played Draven in a long time now, but Kalista is a champion I think he has a lot of success on. Bit of a shout out to old school Ignar there with the Blitzcrank lock-in. Of course, going to be paired up with VandeR in the bot lane. Very strong 2 versus 2, a lot of pick potential. I think Fnatic will lock in the Lucian here.
One of the big differences between Blitzcrank and Analyst, of course, is the speed at which they can throw their hook. Obviously, Nautilus has an issue where in the wind-up animation, Thresh usually beats him there. Maybe that's why VandeR decided to pivot, as well as the silence that Blitzcrank offers can be exceptionally powerful.
I mean, it's really cool, but it's the first time VandeR has ever played it competitively. Like, he has never played this in a regular season, in a playoff, ever. It's the first time we have ever seen him on Blitzcrank.
Well, it's basically like
very
almost
long career.
Yeah, exactly, right?
This guy's played so many games!
To Worlds, and he hasn't played Blitzcrank. I'm really looking forward to it. The Ornn was locked in for Bwipo in the top lane. We assume, of course, can be flexed into the mid, and we see Trundle banned away by Fnatic.
I would like to see a Lucian ban. I'm going to keep saying it because I really think that Lucian for Nemesis is really good. And I think it's a champion that he's going to keep having success on. And I know that there are AP junglers that are still viable and available. And Rogue aren't banning those AP junglers right now.
And the thing is while the Lucian's still available, it means that Fnatic don't have to ban the Azir because they feel that they have the answer into it. Now, obviously, if Lucian does get banned and the Azir comes out, you also then have to deal with Nemesis' Kog'Maw that he showcased against SK Gaming in Fnatic's last game of the split. So we know know that they've got plans, and they're looking at Larssen like, look, Liliaban, we gave you, take the bird, you know you want it.
But then Rogue are also saying, okay, we're not going to let Selfmade have anything he can hard carry on. They're going to get rid of the Kha'Zix, get rid of the Lucian, get rid of the Evelynn, get rid of the Hecarim. Even the Lily are getting removed by Fnatic. Really closes that pool up. And the only thing I can really think for Selfmade now is perhaps a Graves pick from the jungle.
You're not thinking AP champions, Medic. You need to be thinking AP.
That is true.
So, AP champions that are popular in Europe, Echo jungle.
Yeah.
Maybe Diana jungle.
Gragas?
The most popular.
It's going to be an AP
Karthus
jungler.
jungle.
Oh, Karthus. Okay. So there is.
That's why, like, so I understand why they wouldn't want to lock in Lucian first rotation, because if you do, then it guarantees an AP jungler, and Rogue could have banned it out. But they didn't ban the Lucian, which meant that they could lock the Lucian. They did it last game. You know that Rogue is going to pick Azir into this. Like, Frosk is saying, Rogue is a little predictable when it comes to drafting. They did the Azir last game. They're going to do the Azir again. And then this is going to give Fnatic the option to, I think, just lock in the Karthus.
The only option I'm thinking of is perhaps instead of the Azir, you go for something like the Rise, which we saw Larssen actually have a really good performance on last time they played Fnatic. Okay, it's going to be a... Look, Vedius, all I'm saying is I wanted to give some options, and I assumed Rogue might adapt after they got their butts handed to them in game one.
Like, here's the thing.
Oh, Talia's another one, actually.
They love playing with push priority with Larssen. Obviously, that's a bit difficult when Zoe and Lucian exist. But the thing is like, Inspired has played tank junglers with push priority basically the entire time. And I know he can play carry. Everyone remembers how powerful and big his Olaf is. But I'm just saying, Selfmade got left off all pro.
Yes, he did.
And Inspired played with mid priority on the best team and tank junglers. Ooh, I'm not salty about it. There's the card.
And again, I think that when you look at Rogue's comp in isolation, you're like, okay, cool. I see what it's trying to do. You do actually have a very strong 2v2 AD carry support combo with the Kalista and the Blitzcrank. They can make a lot of stuff happen with this. They also, I think, early on actually have a pretty strong matchup with the Gangplank, and you can actually play towards the bot side of the map. The thing is, Larssen's not on a roaming champion. I don't think you're going to guarantee priority against the Lucian, which means that playing around bot side of the map is a lot harder because that mid-pro you're not going to be able to guarantee. Meanwhile, unless you get bot lane ahead, Fnatic's going to keep scaling up. They have Senna, they have Karthus, they have Ornn. This is so strong, and I think that Fnatic are looking good coming into Game 2.
And we're on to the Rift for Game 2 of Rogue versus Fnatic. Reminder, if Fnatic or Rogue win here, if Rogue win, Mad Lions is going to Worlds. If Fnatic win, Fnatic is going to Worlds, and we are continuing in playoffs. So the stakes have been set, and I just have to ask this question, Vedius. Do you think if Fnatic go 2-0 up with the Lucian finally gets banned?
I don't know. Again, like, what I want to preface is the reason why we talked so much about the Lucian in draft is because
it unlocks the jungler.
But Nemesis as a player this split has been under huge debate. Fans have been asking for him to be benched, like, and you can see just, like, in isolation, the stats, he's not been performing well, especially relatively speaking to Larssen. So one of the big things that we, as casters, were looking at was, how do you deal with this mid discrepancy? Like, Larssen plays every champion that Nemesis plays, but he just plays them better than he does. So how do you deal with that? How do you handle it? And now he's got a pick, which works perfectly for him. The Lucian is very safe, it's independent, he can be strong in lane, he doesn't need jungle protection because he's got so much mobility. You can put him in a side lane, he offers value in team fights. Like, this is perfect. Yep. And then it also allows Selfmade to play carry junglers like the Evelynn in Game 1, and now we're seeing the Karthus in Game 2. So I think that while Nemesis is not a true carry, he played really well in Game 1, and I think that he can just be self-sufficient, and that's exactly what Fnatic need to allow the other stars to shine.
It was about trying to problem solve the Azir. You knew it was coming. What was Nemesis going to have available to him? And the Lucian pick has come out. Now, reminder, if the Lucian does get pinched away from him, he still has that Kog'Maw as well. So Fnatic came ready to rumble in the draft phase against Rogue, and Rogue may be being punished for how predictable they are. But they think it was execution-based, and they're running back another 5v5 comp.
And there were definitely a lot of execution errors from them in the first game. We saw, HunSummer and VandeR getting caught out in the bottom lane. We saw some positional errors from Rogue, and Fnatic, with their experience, with their pedigree, were able to capitalize on those and pick off the players from Rogue. Now we see Rogue have the push in the bottom lane. They're looking for some damage on this turret. Last time, it was the other way. Rekkles and Hylissang were pushing back onto Summer and VandeR. And both the junglers actually started on the bottom side and have worked their way up to the top side of the map.
Now, obviously, very different goals for both these junglers. Like Eve on Karthus, you want your 2 full clears. You want to rush level 6 as quickly as possible. Level 4 is kind of the big ganking window. If Karthus does want to turn towards one of his lanes and ganks, he has access to Wall of Pain. Whereas Inspired on this set is really going to be more of a gank-heavy jungler.
Hylissang gonna get hooked here. Last base will root up one. The Ignite goes down, and VandeR actually taking a lot of damage, but the rend from Summer puts some DPS back to Hylissang as well.
So you can see that every time VandeR lands a hook, Summer's pretty much safe, sitting behind his support, and is able to dish out a lot of damage. That's going to put Hylissang in a very difficult position, and I think that Thresh Senna, not quite the same 2v2 power that a Thresh Ash has. Damn it. No.
It wasn't me!
That's not what I meant. You guys know. I meant to say Ash. And so they're going to get bullied around a little bit more.
It is in Europe. It is fair.
All right. So
Look at this nice guy. Inspired. Thank you, Observer. Zoom in again. Gets the minion wave for him, pulls it off, freezes
Ender
it
would
for
have taken
Larssen.
that camp in a heartbeat.
Yeah, Ender would have taken all of those.
I mean, also, Selfmade would have taken that wave as well.
The super important thing is, though, it means Larssen doesn't burn his teleport to get back into the lane and still gets all of that CS, whereas Nemesis has now burnt his TP, and it means we could see Rogue trying to use Larssen to get around the map.
But what's really interesting is yesterday, for those that were able to watch Caps versus Humanoid, when Caps froze the wave there, Humanoid couldn't approach and shove it out. But a Lucian can, because Lucian's so safe in terms of his mobility and wave clear that even if an Inspired shows up, he's actually not that afraid of dying.
Also, pop the telestrator, Vedi. Hit that control ward and hit the other river ward on the bottom. Boop and boop. No, the other one. Jesus.
It's an extra ward. We've highlighted them all, but as you were about to mention, Frosk, I assume this gives you so much safety in the mid lane.
Exactly, and it's rightfully so. And immediately the pivot from Nemesis was, the wave got frozen on me. And I think it was actually Karthus as he walked by, dropped the ward for him, or Lucian put it there. And then as soon as Nemesis had push and the ability to move, he immediately planted a very deep control ward. So he knows that the target's on his back and that Sett will be visiting his lane. And look at the respect that Nemesis is giving.
I do want to bring attention to the fact that Finn has burnt his flash in the top lane. Now, I'm not sure how that's happened. Bwipo not yet level 6, didn't burn a flash of his own, but Finn burns both his flash and his teleport. So I assume perhaps he overstepped, he was caught out, he was knocked up, and thus had to try and get away. But it does give quite an obvious avenue to gank here for Selfmade if he ever wants to try and get that Karthus in and try and get those kills rolling.
I mean, at this point, I think it is safe, like you're saying, you know, if he wants to do it. But Karthus is like, there's no reason to do this. He got his 2 full clears. He's now level 5. He's going to be walking back into his jungle and just power farming for 6. As I think the observers are showing us how he missed his flash.
Yep.
He was too close to the wall. Bad back timer. Or bad back placement.
Yeah, it could have just gone back to his turret, right? And then he backs pretty easily there. Bwipo with the awareness to be able to step forward. He's now going to TP in, has hit level 6, and slaps Finn with the hammer.
Thank you very much again, observers, for helping us highlight that. But I also now want to highlight level 6. Wait, GP just uses alt top. Never mind.
Well, you can highlight it still.
My point is now mute. Medic, take it away.
So what I'd love to say here is, you know, with that cannon barrage, you can influence the other side of the map. But
I was going to say they should be looking for a play bot right now.
But the
Finn
thing
has
is
decided against it.
Wait, I got it. No,
Okay.
it will be back up as soon as Summer is actually level 6 with VandeR, and then they can make a play. Use it there to get the wave reset.
Oh, right now, Selfmade trying to take away the dragon as he's forced away. Inspired's going to be able to get this one. Summer, the first to answer from the bottom lane, so Inspired secures the first dragon of the game. We saw Rogue do that in game 1 as well, and we all know how that match ended for them.
Okay, so I'm still looking at when the GP ultimate's going to come back off cooldown. I really want to see Rogue make a play towards the bot side of the map because you need to get this Kalista going. When we look at scaling, you're playing against a Karthus, you're playing against a Senna. Bwipo is just going to act as that front line and engage, and I think around these neutral objectives, Fnatic have just such a strong team fight comp that unless Rogue get that early advantage, it's going to be harder for them to win out in the 5v5s later.
But I think what's about to happen, however, is that Rogue are going to shove this wave in. They're then going to reset and start walking topside because Selfmade's going to clear his bot side camps. The blue buff will be spawning, and they want to give it to this man who's now found Nemesis.
Nemesis was just shoved back there, but you can see like, how much more mobile this Lucian is. He dashes in, he gets some damage off the press the attack procs, and then becomes so much harder for Larssen to trade in. He's even had to go for a Seeker's Arm Guard first on the Azir this game to try and mitigate some of that DPS.
Just respecting it. We just talked about it. The Herald is going to be spawning, and here comes the rotation from Rogue. They've got more members up here, but Finn caught out early.
Has no flash from that back earlier on, and the lay waste will find the kill. Selfmade very happy to gobble that one up.
Beautiful execution from Bwipo, and he did all the work there, but now VandeR's looking for Selfmade.
Oh, the Crux is going to get in the way. Turn off the Defile. He flashes away. Selfmade doesn't manage to dodge the hook, and VandeR actually not yet level 6, but the Ignite going down, Dawning Shadow coming out. The shield will not be enough.
First time, Blitzcrank doesn't matter.
Yeah, well done by VandeR there, gets the punish, and here's the rotation that you were talking about, Frosk. But Nemesis acting as interference. The fact that Rogue got that kill onto Selfmade is definitely valuable. Gonna put that Karthus down a little bit, another hook lands.
Bwipo has no flash and has no way to get away from this. The Ren should just be enough, even with the Requiem coming down. Summer just needs one more spear. Larssen did die though, as I think Nemesis and Hylissang tried to catch him out in the mid lane.
First time, Blitzcrank doesn't matter.
I mean, yeah, VandeR keeps landing hook after hook in this bot lane. They are finding these advantages in the early game, but Rogue is also losing things elsewhere on the map. Great hook from Hylissang as Larssen tries to help his team, but a great lantern from Hilly brings Nemesis over the wall, and then the Karthus ultimate comes through to get that execution. That's 2 kills now, sitting on top of Selfmade in the early game, similar to last game. So Fnatic's carry is getting gold in the early game. Summer's doing the same. The question is, which team is going to continue to accelerate their start?
Right now you can see it's about 200 gold lead for Summer in the bottom lane. About 1,000 for this Karthus. Selfmade been farming up a storm. He has 2 kills. He's in a really strong spot. And I look on the side of Rogue and I see, you know, Larssen's flash isn't up. VandeR's flash isn't up. Perhaps there are some opportunities for Selfmade to get on into these lanes, or he could just farm up until he gets the Requiem back, which is probably a little bit more likely.
I'm pretty sure he's just going to continue to
Look,
power.
I like action for Froskurinn, okay?
Hey, when is ours ultimate? You get loads of action, that's for sure. VandeR looking for the hook.
Oh, I love it! Special, the cannon barrage into the face breaker! Rekkles gonna be the first target here as he goes down. Rogue might try and chase Hylissang out of this one as well. Hilly doesn't have flash, doesn't really have anywhere to go. He's gonna try and delay Rogue for as long as possible. But actually, they might try and give this kill over to Larssen. Face breaker comes back, Larssen slides in, and he will secure the 4th kill of the game for Rogue.
And this is exactly what I wanted to be seeing from Rogue. Getting those kills onto the 2v2 in the, well, now top side of the map. And it's just VandeR utilizing that level 6 mark with the Gangplank ultimate. It's a little later than I expected, but you know what? It does not matter. They know there's no flash. And Hylissang, Rekkles clicks the lantern at just the wrong time. Both get dragged into melee range. And, you know, the rest is history.
The 2-for-1 special, of course, the trick there is obviously aiming for the Thresh, because then you make sure that you're going to get one.
Look, everyone, like, I remember Hylissang hitting a hook onto Upset, I believe, or was Crown Shot, and everyone praised him because he aimed for the Thresh when Crown Shot took the lantern to him and he catches Crown Shot. It's super easy as Blitzcrank in that situation.
Don't undermine it, man.
No, it's super easy.
This guy's never played Blitzcrank before. Like, he's doing a really good job.
just aim for the Thresh, always. Because if they don't take the lantern, you get the Thresh. And if they do take the lantern, you get them both. And it's so easy to get catches in those situations. Of course, credit to VandeR. A new player
that doesn't sound like you want to give credit to VandeR. I'm just saying, Medic. He's going to land another one.
No, he's not.
First time Blitzcrank gets on.
It's okay, guys.
You get 2 hooks a game.
Just want to clarify, if you've just joined us, VandeR has not had a single professional Blitzcrank game in his entire career.
That's a long.
And VandeR's been playing for a while. He played on the original Rock ad back in the day, so he's been around a while. So it's a little surprise to us, but he's having a great Blitzcrank performance so far. Been involved in 3 of the 4 kills. But kind of looking back into the state of the map right now, second rate going to be started off by Fnatic. Nemesis using his priority in the mid lane to rotate down bot. Looks like they have their eyes set on Finn.
They're going to use the call of the Forge God. Finn has to flash away. The Cullen coming out as well. And Finn with the oranges is just not okay. Nemesis secures the kill, almost dies for it.
I'm going to be frank. Finn is getting bullied in this series so far. He did not have a great first game. He is definitely not having a great second game. And if there is going to be fragility in Rogue's champion pools, it is definitely on their top laner. Finn, known as being that weak side top laner, has really only shown a very limited champion pool. Hasn't gotten to really flex his signature Aurelia or pull out things like the Alawi again.
I will also say that I really like what Fnatic did there, because they actually rotated their duo, who was sitting top lane, down into mid lane, so that they could actually catch the wave and keep pressure, so that as Nemesis rotated bots to set up the play, Rogue actually couldn't punish in the mid lane, and they just traded top, which was going to go down anyway. So
a shift.
Fnatic kind of maximizing the amount of gold they could get in that window, while Rogue continued to funnel more gold onto Hansa.
2-0-0. Blade of the Ruin King complete. Bwipo's gonna land the knock-up. Hook comes out as well. Bwipo's been silenced, but Rogue can't really get much more out of his guy.
Actually super well done by Bwipo to make sure that he cleared the wave with his charge as he pushed back towards his tower and make sure that he could get away from that dive despite not having ultimate. That said, Hansama is continuing his march through collecting all of these plates. He picked up all the plates on the top side, now on the bot side, continuing to put those in his back pocket.
Nemesis doing the same on the top side though. The cannon barrage will stop him. He only got 1 out of the 5 available. Hansama should be able to get 4 of these, which means he will be sitting at a 2,000 gold lead.
This is, if you're a Kalista player, what I like to call the happy place, because you've already got your Blade of the Ruin King at 13 minutes. The plates are only just about to drop, which means Hansama's going to secure another tower. Well played by Bwipo. Ooh, the hook doesn't come through from VandeR. This tower, ooh, Finn, no, this could be dangerous. Ooh, good barrels.
Hylissang flashes in with the play, TP's going to come in, but there's the Requiem, and Selfmade didn't even connect with it. Hylissang, though, will die as Larssen teleported in for a kill of his own.
Okay, I am saying they're continuing to punish Finn, but Larssen is picking up more and more of these kills, only sitting 2-1 right now, but that's 2 kills that were now fed over into Larssen. He's always going to be the big carry for Rogue.
I think it's worth it, though, because you get the Larssen teleport out. You can also push in mid lane. I'm surprised Rekkles didn't go for that tower there. Perhaps he was a little nervous because he wasn't sure where all of the Rogue members were, but Selfmade also went bot lane to make sure that Rogue could not get that tower. So it feels like the Fnatic's lane assignments right now, very on point, very aware of what Rogue is trying to do, and they're trying to mitigate this early game snowball that Rogue have worked so hard to build for Hansama.
They have a gold lead getting up to the 15-minute mark as well. About 700 or so in Fnatic's advantage, and with the series already being 1-0 for them, they are looking for a quick second win. Hook lands onto Larssen. Hylissang has been on point. The Emperor's Device going to knock back 2. Dawning Shadow will keep Hylissang alive. And that was a good little shuffle away from Larssen. But Fnatic is showing, and Hylissang is showing, they have come to play.
Yeah, and it's, again, not just Rogue being predictable in their drafts, but being predictable in their movement.
Oh!
VandeR looking clean on the Blitzcrank right now.
Anything you can do, I can do better. It's Hook City in the bottom lane.
But the thing is Rogue was still predictable. They were caught out with great vision control from Fnatic, and also the fact that they'll always rotate towards that second Herald, and they were caught out. Now, because VandeR does make then the outplay on the back half of that, they trade the mid tower for this Herald, which means it should just be neutralized mid tower for mid tower as soon as this Herald is procced.
We'll have a look across where these two teams stand in terms of items. Double Mana Mune stacking up for Fnatic. Nemesis has 1. He's actually sitting on the most CS in the game, a 2-0-1 scoreline. Is getting up towards that Essence Reaver as well. He's having a great series. When you think about how bad he has been for the rest of the split, like, talking to stats, they were saying it's a top 3 mid laner in Larssen versus a bottom 3 mid laner in Nemesis, and it really doesn't look like that right now.
One might say that perhaps he's having a great Lucian performance, and that Lucian is a great pick for him, and it seems that Fnatic came prepared. I feel like that they have figured out exactly how to set up Nemesis best for success, and as you said, I think he's having a great game. He could easily win this 1 versus 1. It's a 2v1 though, so I'm not sure he can win that. VandeR's gonna not spot him.
Why would you curse him like that?
He's good, he's cool.
Yeah, he's fine.
He's chilling. Now, let's draw attention to the vision that Rogue currently have around the top side of the map. They're stealing away the red buff. They have all these wards all around the top side of the map, properly set up for the Baron area. The Baron's not going to be the objective, though. It looks like Nemesis is.
Nemesis wasn't stunned up there by the base breaker, and so inspired to use the showstopper to try and bring him back to the team. Couldn't do it. Tower will be taken, though, still by Hansama. has farmed up pretty well on this Kalista. Fnatic going to answer with an Ocean Dragon in the bot side of the map. Will be their second dragon of the game. And Ocean Soul, very beneficial for teams that are, putting out consistent DPS. Form of Lucian, perhaps.
I do want to pop over to Hansama, though. We've already talked about how many plates that he's gotten. He's just pushed down another tower. He now has 2 completed items. Now, the thing is while Azir is considered a scaling champion, he still is quite successful on 2 items and then just progressively gets better. Now, he did have to take a pivot towards the Seeker's Arm Guard, which has delayed his power spike a little bit here. But this is the window. This is the pocket. And when I talk about Kalista, we were talking about this at lunch, I kind of view her as like the Olaf of AD carries, and that she falls off pretty hard because she's not really going to get this much stronger, maybe another item, and then that's kind of it. But you need to be a good Kalista team, not just a good Kalista player. And when you pick Kalista, your team has to be good enough that when Hansama is strong, when this champion is ready to go, you need to also be ready to pull the trigger, which is why I think we have certain teams, G2 Mad Lions, who are good early game teams that have been successful with this champion, whereas other teams have not.
But I will say that Rogue right now have 4 towers in their favor. The gold is dead even. And I think right now they're utilizing the Kalista very well. The question is, how do they play these mid-game fights? Because they don't have, they don't have the Drake advantage. They're actually behind the Drakes. You notice that the Lucian is still starting to ramp up, and my biggest concern when it comes to Kalista is actually threatening the carries. When you play against the Senna later on, depending on how many stacks that she has, I'm going to get a quick check-in from our observers in a second on what that stacks are. It's very difficult to play at that range disadvantage. Now, of course, you're going to have Lucian dashing in. We're currently at 30 stacks, so Senna's still ramping up over time. But when you're playing against champions like the Karthus, things like the Ornn, these are very difficult champions to get around when you're in these team fights. And that's my biggest concern for Hylissang and how he's going to execute.
I think the benefit that she's going to have here, or Kalista in this composition, is that you don't necessarily need to rely on her damage to continue to ramp because you have Gangplank and Azir, so you're protected there, and it really just provides a hard engage for you. You drop the Gangplank ultimate, and then you just toss in VandeR. He silences everyone, and it's kind of like that makeshift Malphite ult. And so, even though her damage theoretically will fall off, I think Rogue have enough answers in their composition that won't necessarily matter. And her only job then is kiting around the backside, picking up stragglers, slowing people down, and providing utility through that engage.
Right now, Rogue are trying to gain control of the bottom side of the map. Nemesis has been here quite a while as he continued just to push up the lanes, but now he's going towards top side. And it actually looks like both teams are kind of agreeing on a split map right now. Rogue have total control of this bottom side jungle, but Fnatic are just like, well, okay, we'll force mid. We can just shove it down here, and you're not really going to be able to answer too quickly. Larssen is on his way, but he's the only player in the mid right now for Rogue.
I mean, Rogue were hunting Fnatic there, and Fnatic just doing a good job to zone them out of the mid lane, and then we'll probably take some chip damage.
Hansama has been left in the bottom lane to take the turret, and Bwipo knows it. Gonna use the Call of the Forge God. Hylissang misses the hook just wide, but the tower still goes down for Fnatic. Hook from VandeR only connects onto a minion. Rogue will lose the tower, but they'll get one in the bottom lane.
So I will say I'm a little surprised. So what Rogue did there was they set up a bunch of vision around this area of the map. And typically you see this play when you're looking to make a play for something like the Drake. But of course the Drake isn't going to be spawning for, another minute and 30 seconds. So when they actually did this, I was curious as to what the game plan was, because it gave very easy access for Fnatic to just go straight down the mid lane. But their actual game plan was to give even more gold to Kalista and actually make a play towards the bot tower. So they actually just trade objectives on the map. And I think the Rogue believes that when they have Larssen, their wave clear is strong enough that after losing that mid tier 2, they still have the Azir passive, they still have Larssen's wave clear, and they're actually taking that tower in the bot side of the map just opens up the map more for Rogue, and it makes it easier for them to control the state of the map and gain control around that bot side later on when they're playing for the Drake that spawns in a minute's time.
I mean, I see what you're saying.
I mean, I'm trying to think. Like,
I feel like Rogue actually just, well, Fnatic played it well, and Rogue were trying to find an engage, didn't, and then had to pivot. Like, I think Rogue answered well to what Fnatic were doing to at least trade. And
this is what I'm saying.
It doesn't necessarily hurt them as bad, but I do not think that was the intended plan where they're like, we let them push down mid.
But they set up all the vision in bot side of the map. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, surely, but it was like at 2.5 minutes before the Drake spawn, you know what I mean? So I'm like, surely they're doing this for something, right?
It was for the Trinity Force and the Infinity Edge. They were trying to create
But why would Fnatic ever face check that? That's kind of what my question is.
Look, guys, there's a fight about to happen. Let's go back to the action as the teleport came in from Finn. Cannon Barrage still available, but as the Dragon is spawning in 16 seconds, you have to feel that Rogue will want to take this fight. Rabadon's Death Cap alongside the Nash's Tooth. Runan's Blade of the Ruin King complete for Hans Summer, and here go Rogue stepping forward. Bwipo's going to be the front line for Fnatic. The hook lands, but only onto the Ornn. The Showstopper coming out as well, and Bwipo's down to half HP. Facebreaker's going to pull him back. There's the Requiem being used. Nemesis diving forward. Dawning Shadow not enough to kill Inspired, and Rogue's still very healthy here. Selfmade is on the Dragon, though. He's looking to secure it before Rogue can get in. Actually, it looks like Fnatic might have done a good enough job to keep Rogue away.
So I thought that after Fnatic used all of their ultimates...
They're going for Baron.
Oh, okay. I understand the pivot now from Rogue. It is a little dangerous, of course.
It's super dangerous.
Because they only have VandeR to tank it up. Sett is on the way, and Fnatic have a beeline right now.
Oh, but they're going to stop it.
So I was surprised because I thought that looking at the health in that replay, Rogue could have gone for the re-engage. I think the problem they had was that they already used Hans Summer's ultimate earlier on, before the fight even started. And there was no clear or easy way for them. They're actually starting up again. All right, fair enough.
No, they're not.
This is a good example, though, because I agree with you. There's some indecision in the calls.
It feels like it.
And unfortunately, they're making the wrong calls. Like, I like the idea, but it's not panning out in terms of its execution. You know, maybe if Finn's barrels connect, because he was the one member that didn't rotate over, Inspired reset himself to get more health, was sprinting towards the Baron, then maybe that's a very different call if he's able to chunk out Fnatic on Baron, and if Fnatic can't as easily then immediately rotate to contest. But that was very much like, okay, leave it, let's do Baron. Oh, Baron didn't work out. Okay, back to mid, reset. And now Rogue have actually just lost a bunch of time, and Fnatic are sitting closer to Soul Point on a comp that will outscale that Kalista. And again, you still have the Gangplank. They now have him having that Essence Reaver, that Trinity Force, creating that safe lane that he's been farming in. Finn is no longer in a weak position, but Hans Summer is going to start falling off in terms of his damage output, and it's going to be more about that utility and the cleanup again.
For the moment, still only 2 items on Hans Summer. Looks like Death's Dance next. Finn has completed his Essence Reaver alongside the Triforce, but Selfmade continues to scale up. Last time we checked, he was 2,000 gold ahead on this Karthus. He has a Liandry's, he's now got a Blasting Wand and an Amplifying Tome. Also, Nemesis is on 3 items. Rekkles has got an Executioner's Calling to help with some of the healing that's coming out from Rogue. I mean, there's not a huge amount of healing. Rekkles.
And the ornaments have come through.
Yeah, what's this Executioner's Calling for?
From Rekkles?
Yeah.
I think it's mainly for...
Gangplank and Death Dance?
I think it's mainly for Hans Summer.
I'll say it's a cheap item, and so he can reduce some of the healing while still having utility for his team.
I think it's primarily for Hans Summer.
Okay.
That would be my estimation.
He also can very easily spread it around on everyone.
But that's true, yeah.
So,
Piercing Shadow can do it.
I have just been informed that Rekkles was at about 45 stacks the last time we just checked in. So yeah, I feel like 60 stacks, that's the point at which Senna gets like really online. Do you remember when she used to be able to easily get like 120 stacks?
Look, I played her support for a while. It was a lot of fun. Outranging turrets and just being like, hey, I've got a rapid.
Yeah, but now I would say that around 60 stacks is where I consider Senna to be really online and where she gets very, very scary. So Rekkles getting very close to that mark. And once Fnatic do hit that, that's where I start to have alarm bells and start to get a little bit worried for Rogue. Rogue right now, still very strong. Death Cap completed on Larssen. Hans Summer sitting at 3 items. If Rogue try and force a fight right now, there's a very real world where they can win it. It all comes down to execution.
And they have a window of what they're going to decide to do. Do Rogue decide that they were trying to find a pick, maybe immediately rotate that into a Baron, which is kind of what they were previously hunting for. And now they've gone back into the lanes, will probably grab as much gold as possible, and then try to reset for this Drake. Again, the Ocean Soul spawning in 142 for Fnatic here. But it almost feels a little bit desperate for Rogue and kind of how they've looked at the map. Now standing in brushes, just trying to catch people out.
And I think this is the thing, like we've said it about Rogue a few times.
Return VandeR.
They've constantly played a specific style this split, right? And Hans Summer actually isn't in the best of shapes here because Fnatic are all on their way up towards the top side. He's going to jump across the wall and just back away near the Krugs. He'll be fine, but yeah, if we know the style Rogue play, if we have understanding of it across the course of the split.
They're caught.
Then
what was the game plan?
They were trying to find a pick on the wave.
They were looking for Nemesis.
When they had an opportunity to find a pick, they could have stolen red buff. Like,
it's like they're clearly talking to each other, but there's a full conversation happening.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot.
Like when you're talking to your mom and you're just like trying to hang up the phone.
I guess like from my perspective, when they had Summer as strong as he did, I'm just surprised Rogue didn't put more focus on the Drakes, and I've just been like, fight.
Would
like,
you say that she's the Olaf of ADC?
But yeah, this is what I'm saying. Like, if we know that that's what Rogue should be doing, then Fnatic obviously know it as well, and develop strategies to stop Rogue from being able to do it.
So, no, I think Fnatic's approach this game has just been, oh, wait, what's Rogue doing? Okay, I guess we'll just take this then. I honestly think that's what because like Fnatic have not had to do a huge amount this game. They've been free to scale up. They've had so much control over the side lane with Nemesis on his Lucian. Senna's been slowly scaling up, ramping up, and like while Rekkles and Hylissang were punished hard in the early game 2 versus 2, like for the last 10 minutes we haven't really seen much. So I think Fnatic, while at a goal deficit, is sitting very comfortable, and this next fight is going to be what pretty much I think determines the game.
This is big bait though.
All of the Forge God coming out from Bwipo. Dragon's going to be secured already. Hylissang flashes forward, is hooked in. The silence comes out, but here comes the Requiem as well. Shut down already onto Larssen. He is dead. Summer pulls back with a face call. VandeR jumps back in, and Summer now gets one shut down, but he's gone down. Finn jumping into the fight as well. It's a 4v3 in favor of Fnatic. They find another. Bwipo going in. Rekkles goes down, but Finn will fall. And it's an ace for Fnatic.
And it's a clean 5 for 2 in favor of Fnatic. And while they did not get the Ocean Soul, they've won the team fight. And when you have the Karthus still alive, they can very easily convert this into a Baron. And you get to see there the power of Fnatic's 5v5.
Now they do, yeah, they will burn it very quickly, especially with Ornn. Here's the thing though, like the teleports are there for Larssen about 12 seconds. Taking another look at this fight, you know, Rogue decide that the Ocean Soul is the most important thing to secure, so they're not all on board when the initial fight happens, and Larssen is shut down at the very beginning of it. If that Azir hadn't gotten picked off, maybe this goes a different way, but this was such a critical fight for them to lose at this window.
I mean, I kind of have to come back to the execution thing again for Rogue, where Larssen had his flasher. He doesn't flash away from the knockup where the Ornn hits him, and that chain CC is what ultimately got him killed. Finn's positioning, he was stuck behind the Dragon Pit and wasn't able to get involved in the fight. Like, everything just kind of went the way of Fnatic, and now they've got themselves the Baron buff, and they're looking to go 2-up in this series.
Right, what you were talking about right before that fight was just the fact that Fnatic really haven't had to do anything this game. They've just kind of been answering what Rogue have been doing. And that's what fans have been wanting from Fnatic this entire split. It was always the question of, what are you doing? Don't do anything, just scale.
Wasn't it Quick Shot that was like, why? Yeah. And in every post-match thread, you'd see that repeated. I mean, like, well, you don't have to ask those questions for Fnatic right now. They're just kind of taking things as they come and just responding to everything that Rogue has been doing. And like, I'm just kind of a little disappointed because I was really excited for Rogue at the beginning of the series. I said that on paper, Rogue should be the clear favorites. They look super clean, they had an answer, and they had an easy way to deal with Fnatic consistently throughout the split. And I feel like we haven't seen it. So I'm hoping that if Fnatic win this game, we get to see a little bit more of the Rogue that did 2-0 Fnatic during the regular season. But if they don't show up, if they don't get their head in the game, Fnatic is going to get a 3-0 clean sweep.
And it's not just that, it's the fact that Rogue have a spot at Worlds. And I wanted this playoffs to be a defining moment for them to show that they can battle with the best. And losing to Fnatic, who today are playing very well, but only had a 50% win rate in the regular season, does not fill me with confidence about this team. It fills me with a little bit of dread that once again, we're going to see a team with some promising players just falter when it comes to the international stage.
It's the fact that we don't just want consistency from Rogue now, we want greatness. Yep. And that's what winning these best of fives was supposed to be. Now, it's not over yet, but we're still waiting for the highs and the adjustments from Rogue.
And of course, they will have another opportunity next week if they lose this. If Fnatic win today, Rogue will play up against the winner of Schalke and Mad Lions next week to see if they can get on into the final week of action. Bwipo here stepping forward in the mid lane as 3 members of Fnatic barrel down in bot lane. Cannon Barrage will come out, Selfmade, down to about half HP already, but Hylissang with a really good zoning hook there. VandeR's going to step forward, but his hook goes wide, and Bwipo brings the ram in from the side. Dawning Shadow alongside the Requiem forces all of Rogue to retreat, and Fnatic will just knock down the front door.
A huge overreach there from VandeR that Fnatic rightfully punished and could now look to just close out the game. Missing some key ultimates here. Larssen, can he hold them off?
Got to do something. The cannon, the barrels are going to do a lot of damage. Bwipo pulled back with the face break, and he's taken down. The shutdown going down means that Fnatic might just retreat for the moment. Hylissang, the hook just goes wide. The Fnatic will accept the inhibitor, accept a single Nexus tower, and accept a 4,000 gold lead with Ocean Soul only 50 seconds away.
I think it's worth highlighting that, you know, we have been a bit of a Debbie Downer on Rogue this game, but Fnatic, there's very little to criticize with how they've been playing this game. You know, Bwipo, a couple deaths in the early game, and same for Rekkles and Hylissang, but they played the mid game cleanly. I really like their lane assignments. I like how they've moved around the map. They had a really good focus and control around these neutral objectives, and the way they've been playing these fights have been clean. So game 1, it felt like sheer dominance individually from Fnatic. Game 2, it feels slow, controlled, patient play, and I think that if you are a Fnatic fan, you're optimistic seeing this because they don't just have to win by dominating you in the solo lanes. You know that they can play you through smart map play and punishing those mistakes.
But there's a Fnatic special. Deep teleport, take it away, Medic.
It's Bwipo and Nemesis coming in behind. Selfmade does not have the Requiem. Nemesis and Bwipo just trying to hide in the back as VandeR goes in with a base call, and that's the Fnatic special as well as Hylissang gets caught out by his lonesome. Call of the Forge God is going to isolate Rogue off towards the side. VandeR down to a sliver of HP and just gets taken out by Selfmade. Finn chased away by Rekkles. There's another. Nemesis gets the kill. Selfmade goes down as well. The shutdown for Larssen as he tries to dodge away. Puts up the Emperor's Divide and just about survives, but the Dawning Shadow is on its way up for Rekkles, and the gun connects. Double for Rekkles. The sensational play from Fnatic as they take down 4, and they can actually just knock in this bottom inhibitor wave and take down the Nexus.
It was slow, it was controlled, it was almost picture perfect from Fnatic, and then at the very end, they also then remind you, hey, we still got that Fnatic flare with 2 deep teleports to close out this game and look for the 3-0 sweep over Rogue.
Another dominant performance from Fnatic as they go 2-0 over Rogue.
Clean stuff in the final fight. It was a little worrying for Fnatic as they lost Hylissang extremely quickly, but they were able to turn it around in convincing fashion. Summer, the last man standing, and Fnatic looking very clean, looking very promising here in this best of 5.
They really are, and you can actually see they are playing in the Level studios here in Berlin. We've seen them from their gaming house for the rest of the split, but perhaps a change of venue, a change of scenery is really helping them when it comes into playoffs.
Changing up that mental when you're going into the game, but this looks like a completely invigorated beast, and now the question goes like, Rogue thought it was an execution error. They ran back a very similar composition. What adjustments do they make this time around? Do they try to stop the Lucian for Nemesis?
Yes.
Do they get a carry jungler instead of a tank jungler for Inspired? What is it going to be?
I really think they need to open up Larssen a little bit more. Let's see him roam. That's what worked so well for them when they played against them before, and just get Nemesis off the Lucian because he is too good on that champion right now.
Ban Lucian is what we say here on the desk, but we'll soon get some insight from the analysts as Fnatic are on match point.
Seven tiles, we're fine and we look like a gem. They only know you cause of TSM. No hope in this series, boy, you should abstain. Starting to think you're a sucker for pain. Starting to think that it's over in lane. Now I just know you ain't winning a game.
Thank you.
Our teams are so good this year.
I can't believe they actually made it. Woo! What? It's what champions eat.
Bwipo Harvest Fresh preserves vitamins for longer by simulating the natural 24-hour sun cycle. Bwipo, eat like a pro.
Have a bite. It's good.
Bwipo. Oh yeah, il m'a rendu bête, bête, bête. J'suis tombé la première, merde, merde. Il m'a rendu bête, bête, bête. J'suis tombé la première, merde.
Charged up. Hello, everybody. Let the game begin.
Welcome back to the LEC Summer Playoffs, where Fnatic are on a tear here in this series and just one win away from a shot at G2 Esports. I mean, why does it always end up like this? Who knows? Well, it's because of the Fnatic playoff buff, apparently. Again, a win on the board. Let's take a look at the picks and bans and if anything changed in their approach, because it looks like from the side of Fnatic, similar approach. Get that AP jungler for Selfmade, get a tank in the top lane and AD in the mid lane, and that's it.
Yeah, stylistically, the draft was going to be very similar for Fnatic. I think they latched onto something really good in game one. Now, the changes came for Rogue. They obviously started switching it up, banning a lot of these scaling junglers, like the Hecarim and the Evelynn. But as we saw, there are still other picks that Selfmade has up his sleeve.
Yeah, it looks to me like Lucian is the catalyst for all these AP junglers. It seems that, I mean, I'm not sure what else Nemesis can play mid that's AD, but the Karthus, the Evelynn, there's quite a few AP junglers open. The Lilia was also banned out. But I like Rogue's adaptation. They were running the Senna Nautilus, and now they're running the Kalista Blitzcrank. It's a lot more agency, a lot more push, a lot more playmaking, so you saw them really take over the map.
And I like, we were thinking about, okay, what are they going to do? Are they going to completely throw their plans overboard? They did ban the Evelynn, but they still came with a pretty much a Rogue comp with a bit of a different flair. So we could expect maybe this game is going to go better. And honestly, the early game went better. Fnatic didn't snowball, and VandeR really kept his team in the game.
Yeah, I think the big difference was VandeR, because there were still some missteps around top lane where Selfmade was able to get early kills, but VandeR's Blitzcrank was on fire, roaming around. He like solo kills Selfmade underneath his tier 2 tower, and it was his Blitzcrank, I feel like, roaming around with Hansama as well, that enabled them to actually jump out and keep this game very competitive early.
Yeah, and Hylissang has no sums from the previous fight, so VandeR identifies that. He sneaks up on Hylissang, just hooks him straight there. Rekkles takes the lantern, not the best of ideas there, and then they both get stunned together here from Inspired's flash, which was played really well. The GP ult on top of that, and yeah, when they both die, Hansama is so fed.
And this is exactly what Rogue want to be doing. Obviously, you have the power 2v2 you can play around, but there's a GP on the other side of the map, and I feel like it could have even come a little bit earlier in the game for Rogue, but right at level 6, I think Finn ended up using his ultimate on the minion wave, and maybe if they have some more playmaking around that, that could have been really good for them.
And a solo kill by VandeR.
And it's great to see that VandeR was popping off in Hansama as well, but you guys were bringing up, well, it seems like they are the only two players that are keeping this team afloat right now, because the other laners are just completely pissing it away.
Yeah, well, I mean, Finn was really struggling in top lane. Like, he dropped down a lot of CS early on, which is a little bit surprising. Mid lane, I think, is the expected story. Larssen even took some good trades in the early laning phase, but against the Lucian, it's going to be pretty hard to work with. I do think one thing that is holding them back a bit could be the Sett pick into something like the Karthus and a lot of these ranged champions, because it feels so hard to get anything done past, like, the laning phase on this Sett. Whenever you go into a team fight, they're just going to be able to, like, walk away and kite you.
Yeah, if you watch Inspired in the game, he's trying to make things happen. The top play does work eventually, but he was always 2 levels behind. Selfmade was kind of AFK farming, picking up kills with his ultimate randomly. But like you said, this just felt like the solo lanes were on the back foot. You know, Finn had to flash away level 5. He had to use his GP ult for his own lane. He had to TP back. And Larssen did pick up 1 or 2 kills here when he ran away from his lane. He killed, I believe it was Hylissang after the top play, and then he killed Bwipo after the top dive and stuff like this. But he got the kills, but it always felt like he was on the back foot.
And then the Drake fight happens. Caedrel, walk me through this, because this is just so uncharacteristic from Rogue and fantastically played by Fnatic.
Well, it's the Dragon Soul for Fnatic, so they have to rush it down before Selfmade gets in the pit. Good decision making, but Larssen gets hit by the Ornn ult, which is huge, because then Hylissang flashes in, just lands the hook onto Larssen, and as soon as Larssen dies, the fight's kind of over. Hansama tries his best to do as much as he can. Finn's already split off, so essentially it's just a 2v5, 3v5 going on there. Hansama does all he can. Finn comes in late and just kind of flashes in and dies. Not really a fan. But yeah, it just felt like they were super split.
It's so strange for Rogue, because they're such a strong team-fighting team. Throughout the whole regular season, they were probably our best team-fighting team in the LEC. But they seem very uncoordinated today, whether it's like in game 1, the 2v2 playing around top lane, player to player, or there where Finn's on the bottom side. Like, there's a lot of split decision-making, and I feel like maybe the pressure could be getting to them, because this is not the same type of team that I'm used to seeing.
And that's a tricky one, right? Because when it comes down to, oh, the Evelynn beat us and we can ban it out, yeah, whatever. But now it comes down to, you have 2 games in a row where you know that you can do better as a team, I think, as Rogue, but it's not working out. That seems a hard one to troubleshoot for the coaching staff.
Just feels like their consistency is inconsistent all of a sudden. It feels like the team fights, every single team fight, they're split. That one, Larssen gets caught. The next one, when they're trying to fight for the Ocean Soul, I believe they get a pick onto Hylissang, but then the carries run to mid-wave, the tanks run to Dragon, they're split up again, and the 4v5 happens and they lose that one as well. So it feels like they need to communicate more, they need to get back on the same page, and their drafts are still good, I think. They just need to bring out the team fights better.
I mean, they are running into a strong Fnatic. I think we have to highlight also Nemesis on this Lucian pick, a different look for him and for the team, and damn if he's not making it work.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking great for him. A player that struggled all season finally found that pick that can really work for him, and I think it enables him in so many different ways, because it's not just like a scaling pick, it's a champion that enables him to dominate in the lane, or at least come out with an advantage. It's a very strong skirmishing champion as well, so I feel like it does give Nemesis a lot of tools to win at most stages of the game.
We are going to check out also the picks and bans after the break. Fnatic is 1 game away from the World Championship, but it's do or die for Rogue in Game 3, so be sure to join us at the Analyst desk for picks and bans in just a second.